Well, I've hosted quite a few beauty pageants in my day, and there have been many memorable moments, but there's one moment that I've never forgotten. It was during Miss Teen USA 2007 with Caite Upton. A very sweet girl who gained international notoriety for her bungled response to a judge's question. My heart just went out to her at the time, and I never got a chance to speak with her since until now. 14 years later, Caite joins me to talk about the impact that moment had on her life. Welcome, Caite. Oh, so good. So nice to see you. Oh, my gosh. So where am I speaking to you from?
I actually just recently moved to Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay, so still representing South Carolina. I love it. Well, before we talk about what happened after the question, for those who may not remember, let's take a look at what happened.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Caite, what goes through your mind when you watch that back?
Oh gosh, it's almost surreal. It's like that wasn't even me. It's an out-of-body experience, at least one that I'm having now. I'm like, oh, who is that? Oh, she's cute. Oh, poor thing.
As a host, they specifically tell me that you're not allowed to say anything or help the contestant at all. Because I so wanted to because I could tell, obviously, there was a miscommunication or you didn't understand, and I so wanted to help you. But I was specifically told not to because then you could be disqualified. And I didn't want to do that and get in trouble, just so you know. Yeah. I've always wanted to say that. I know it was 14 years ago, but tell us about your answer. Were you just surprised by the question or a little confused by it? Or?
I got to the top 5, and I was surprised out of all those beautiful women. And you and I were conversating beforehand, and you asked me a question. So I actually assumed that the question you asked me, which is, what's the biggest risk you've ever taken, or something like that, along those lines, which I nailed, by the way. You and I had a great conversation.
I know you nailed it.
And you're like, reach in here and pull out a name. I'm like, okay. So I go and do that, and then I get this other question, and I'm like, just aloof and just kind of confused as to what was going on, because none of that was practiced in rehearsal at all. Like, none of it. Sure. I wasn't told of it. No one ever talked about it. So I was just completely caught off guard. And beautiful Amy, she asked me this question, and I'm just like, oh my God, like another celebrity's talking to me while I have Mario Lopez a foot away from me. Like, this is really cool. Wait, what did she just say? Yeah. Like, do I have to answer this right now?
Caite, you're exactly right, though, because everything's moving so quick. It's live television. The judges don't know the questions. I don't know the questions. And it's such a surreal moment when you're there. People don't understand the intensity. They play that dramatic music. You're on the spot. You just made the top 5. It's a wild moment, right?
Absolutely. It's 100% a wild moment. And afterwards, the fact that I didn't even place last in the top 5 was kind of comical to me. I was like, oh, okay, so I guess it wasn't that bad.
Now talk about afterwards. When did it start to sort of generate a buzz and start to become a thing, if you will? And what kind of reaction did you get from it?
So immediately following the pageant, my mom, dad, and grandma and I, we actually traveled the coast of California. So we were unaware, not having a TV, we were unaware of what was actually going on. It wasn't until 3 days later when we got back home to South Carolina where my parents had 150 voicemails on their house answering machine. And I had over 1,000 messages on my Facebook at the time. And all of a sudden, right when we walk in, the phone rings, my parents answer. It happens to be my pageant director, who then is saying, like, you're kind of a big deal. The Today Show wants to fly you up to New York to shoot a little segment tomorrow morning. Can you leave in 4 hours? And I was like, okay. So I just assumed that me making the top 5 was what interested people, and maybe people liked me, and that's the whole reason. Nothing was still explained to me about what was going on. And come to realize they were comparing me to politics, and I'm like, I'm 18 and these politicians are 50 to 70 years old. Why am I being compared to politicians? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, ironically, you got more attention than any winner that I can think of in years past. Definitely created for a classic moment. Did you ever hear from anyone from the pageant?
So I heard a lot from the Miss Universe organization. I would have loved to have heard more from you. I don't know what your situation was, but you know,
well, Katie,
just
for the record, Katie, I think it would have been inappropriate for me to reach out to a teenage girl. And I got
18.
No, you were 18. That's true. But like I said, they keep me, as you know, far away from the girls, and I was trying to be just as respectful. But I'm so glad I finally get to say my piece, that I wanted to just know that I was there and wanting to help you. And I think you've handled it just so beautifully, and so happy, because I was happy to hear. I know you moved to LA and you actually did some cool stuff, right?
I have a lot of accomplishments there. Got to work with Maxim. I also ended up slowly, gradually growing my hosting career. My first hosting job was with Jimmy Kimmel as his correspondent.
Good for
and
you.
Then I led to working with Daniel Tosh on Tosh.0. Then I became a co-host on Ridiculousness with Rob Dyrdek. I would take Chanel's place whenever she wasn't there. All sorts of things.
That is awesome. I love that you turned this sort of negative situation with this buzz into a major positive. And by the way, congratulations. I know you're a mom now, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
How old's your, is it baby, child? How old?
Just turned 1.
Oh,
he is one giant.
Precious.
And now I am currently pregnant with our second, who is due in 4 weeks.
Oh, congratulations. You're pregnant right now. Oh, wow. I love that I got to see you. You look just as beautiful as ever. Congratulations on everything, sweetie. And seriously, it was great to see you. Up next, we're keeping the pageant theme going. Ever wonder what happened to the toddlers from the show Toddlers and Tiaras? We're filling you in next. Katie, so good to see you.